In this video, we're going to break down the top 5 wide receiver defensive back matchups from week 3 and decide the winner of each one. I'm considering doing this as a weekly series, so make sure to leave a like if you enjoy the video. First up is Justin Jefferson versus Jeff Okudah. Jefferson was only targeted 4 times in this matchup, and a lot of that's because Okudah was locking him down in man coverage, and Jeff Okudah has quietly been having a really good season. He's starting to live up to his draft selection now that he's healthy. So right here, watch Okudah's footwork. He's just inching back, staying square with Justin Jefferson, and protecting his cushion until he declares his release. And then Okudah uses this punch to reestablish positioning and slow down the timing of the route, and Jefferson can't get into his break quickly enough. Jeff Okudah is the clear winner of this matchup. Compared with his first few years in the NFL, he's so much more patient at the line of scrimmage, and he hasn't been tested very much because he hasn't been letting anyone get open. Second matchup is from the Monday night game, CeeDee Lamb versus Adoree Jackson. And Adoree Jackson is another underrated corner. He just can't catch, so he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. But CeeDee Lamb got the best of him here with 6 for 57 on 7 targets. This is a really nice curl route from the first quarter. He uses the wipe technique to clear out Adoree's jam. Great job pressing the hip and throttling quickly, and then he comes back to the ball and gets upfield for a first down. All right, the play where CeeDee Lamb redeemed himself for the drop earlier in the game. Adoree Jackson's coverage is actually really good, but Lamb preserves the space between himself and the sideline until the ball is within reach, and then he makes an incredible one-handed catch. Next up, Brandon Aiyuk versus Patrick Surtain II. Surtain didn't have the best start to the season, but he shut down Brandon Aiyuk, didn't allow a single reception on 5 targets. And what I love about Pat Surtain's game is how dominant he is in man coverage no matter what technique he's playing. He's at his best getting his hands on the receiver right at the snap and then trailing underneath while he maintains contact and feels the route develop. But he can also play a soft shoe press and be patient at the line of scrimmage because he doesn't need much time to build up speed, so he can just stay on top of the route and transition if it breaks vertically. And then he's also good in off coverage. Right here, the Broncos are in quarters, and Aiyuk is running what's called a swirl route in Shanahan's terminology. And this sort of play that I'm showing you is the result of an elite athlete being raised and coached by a former NFL cornerback for his entire life on how to play the position. So be thankful that we get to watch this. At number 4, I really enjoyed watching DK Metcalf and AJ Terrell. Kind of similar to Patrick Surtain, AJ Terrell's first couple games were a little rough, and keep in mind I view both of them as top 5 corners, so that's the standard that I hold them to. The touchdown that AJ Terrell gave up was in zone coverage, which I count less for this sort of thing, but the Seahawks are running this seam rail concept that literally every single team is running this season. The rail or wheel route down the sideline widens out AJ Terrell, and then he doesn't get enough depth to cover the seam. Outside of that, AJ Terrell was lights out in this matchup. He put on a masterclass in staying on top of fade routes. When you've got a big receiver like DK or Mike Evans that can win contested catches down the sideline at a high rate, you cannot let them stack you. And AJ Terrell did a great job of that, so I'm going to give him the win here. And the 5th and final matchup from week 3 that we're going to break down is Elijah Moore versus Chidobe Awuzie. This is about as lopsided of a matchup as you'll find between a cornerback and a receiver that are viewed similarly. In every draft class, there's 3 or 4 of these 5'7" to 5'9" receivers that play in the slot or in some sort of gadget role, and they're explosive and shifty and they have crazy high production, but they fall to the 5th round or later because it's difficult for smaller receivers like that to beat press coverage in the NFL. That was my biggest concern with Elijah Moore, and it showed up in week 3 with Awuzie pretty much erasing him from the game.